This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Joseph Quintao appointed as the new CEO for National Airports Corporation. RPNGC launched its official website. And state owes millions to Number One Super Limited. A very good evening. You're watching National EMTV News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. The search continues for who should head the National Airport Corporation, with the National Executive Council appointing Joseph Quintao as the new MD and CEO for the National Airport Corporation for a period of 3 months, who replaces Joseph Tupiri due to non-performance in meeting certain key performance indicators.
The National Executive Council has revoked the acting appointment of Joseph Tupiri and appointed Joseph Quintao as the new acting Managing Director, CEO of National Airports Corporation for a period of 3 months. According to a press statement from the Office of the Minister for Civil Aviation and Transport, Walter Schnobelt, Tupiri, who was appointed Acting Managing Director and CEO on December the 5th, 2022, for a period of 3 months, has failed to achieve certain key performance indicators set by the shareholders. The KPIs include the engagement of an external auditor to do a transaction audit into the finance of NAC, no administrative audit done as sanctioned by the Prime Minister and NEC through the Office of the Chief Secretary to investigate NAC through his predecessor Rex Kipongi, and, contrary to that, the creation of 2 Deputy CEO positions within NAC by Mr. Tupiri. Minister for Transport and Civil Aviation Walter Schnobelt, who is the majority trustee shareholder of NAC, in welcoming Mr. Quintao, said the transport and civil aviation sector require a very qualified person to lead NAC into the future. Minister Schnobelt stated, and I quote, "Mr. Quintao is a very experienced person in various sectors with over 20 years of leadership experience in positions he held as Executive Manager Vision 2000, PTC, Director Corporate Services, Department of Mining, Deputy Secretary, CEO and Director Civil Aviation Authority, Managing Director National Airports Corporation, Senior Advisor, Leadership Development, Director, Institutional Reforms, Department of Works, and lately as CEO of PNG Road Fund. Therefore, Mr. Quintao is qualified to act as the Managing Director for NAC for 3 months or until further notice." End quote. Mr. Schnobelt, through a legislative amendment to the Civil Aviation Act 2000 during a Parliament session a few months ago and its subsequent gazettal, used the provisions under that amendment to invoke his powers and as minister responsible to suspend the then Managing Director, Mr. Rex Kipongi, who is fighting his case in court. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
Police Commissioner David Manning officially launched the first ever RPNGC website in Port Moresby yesterday. This official website, according to the Commissioner of Police, will now redefine the constabulary's engagement with the community and the approach to modern policing in the digital space.
The Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, under the leadership of Commissioner David Manning, is now heading into the digital space with its efforts to make the constabulary's work and information accessible to the general public. Commissioner Manning explained that this platform is a key component of RPNGC's digital development initiative, and through this, the constabulary aims to provide its officers with modern technology tools and digital solutions that will greatly improve the efficiency and effectiveness of police operations to the public. The RPNGC website will provide information regarding public safety tips, crime prevention resources, and police contacts, amongst other relevant information. This launch is amongst other digital solution projects, such as the much talked about police clearance, which will be processed online moving forward. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
Angore landowners from PDL-8 in the Hela province have called on the government and Petroleum and Energy Minister Kerenga Kua, along with his department, to complete the process of setting up bank accounts for the people so they can receive their long-awaited equity and royalties. According to the landowners, the process of clan vetting has been completed by Justice Ambeng Kandakasi, and the 51 ILGs have been recognized as the legitimate landowners, yet for 7 years they have not received a single payment.
Angore is located in the Hayapuka LLG in the Taripori district. For 7 long years, these landowners from Hela province have been patiently waiting to receive royalty funds from the government following the setup of the PDL-8 wellhead on their land by developer ExxonMobil. Through their leaders, the group is collectively calling on the government for immediate assistance to resolve their issues.
Department Petroleum now, Department Petroleum this week, next month, I must open my account. We are ready. Yes. Magimas loyalty long Hela province, Mitogolsem, department has to go down to the site, to Angore, and then open my account. We are ready.
Malek Sao is a young man who is chairman and has been entrusted as leader of the PDL-8 and his people. This week he graduated from the University of PNG and wants to see the plight of his people resolved in a peaceful way by working along with the government and the developer.
PNG LNG and the money leader will come stop. Tomorrow will go back. Now me less law issue by start again. Now stop work but come up. That's why I need the support from ExxonMobil. I need the support from national government. I need the support from department to work together, because we leaders from Angore, we are ready. And if there is a way forward, please help us so that we will work together. I also thank this national government through Connect PNG and through SME. And we recognize him for the first time in the history of Angore. We got 42 million. 42.8 million in this company, Urunawini. So, me like to thank you, Minister. Me like to thank you, Prime Minister.
For many, the wait has been so long that loved ones have passed on, and the issue of compensation due to the incomplete process from the state has led to many being very frustrated.
Me play no fight lo wambla ground no, fight lo wambla stone no, fight lo wambla something. Me like him, you must come work on that me open him account. So me by give him benefit, now you by work. Me no kage stop na, how by you work? You work in tribal banis one time this la brick wall ya. You know kabarim andape. You work lo site stop ya. Em lo ground blo me by dialogue this la. Suppose you know come open him account. Look sabelo papa gira you work in penis. Now you waiting one him.
The Angore landowners are grateful to the government for the 42 million Kina tax credit scheme road and its identification of landowner umbrella company Urunawani Limited in Huli, meaning something from nothing. They're calling on all the government and stakeholders to work with them through their local company once the immediate issues are resolved. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
Number One Super Limited is aiming to provide more employment opportunities to Papua New Guineans to address unemployment in the country. This is seen through NSL's investment strategy that creates jobs, support PNG's economic growth, and also to deliver strong returns to its members and their families over the long term.
Apart from being a savings fund, Number One Super Limited has been investing and developing projects to create employment opportunities for local Papua New Guineans. 2 examples of NSL's investments are in the Rangeview Plaza and soon-to-be-opened Moki Business Park, located at Waigani opposite the Revenue House,
which has created nearly 2,000 jobs at a time when the PNG economy was struggling during COVID.
Another 2 investments in the pipeline that will contribute to more employment opportunities are the Port Moresby 9 Mile and Ley Waterfront development projects. NSL's chairman, Mr. Monagi, said these investments will not only create job opportunities but also give high returns to NSL's members.
While both these investments may currently be experiencing lows in terms of valuations, we are confident that as the economy recovers, they will be key assets in generating returns for our members over the long term.
NSL's chairman said NSL continues to deliver its primary goal of growing and protecting its members' retirement savings, whilst using its position as an industrial leader to influence policy changes like creating jobs for the benefits of all Papua New Guineans. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Number One Super Limited Fund continues to experience ongoing challenges in retrieving outstanding payments from the state for its outstanding rental arrears and unfunded state shares. This was revealed by NSL CEO Paul Sayer during a 2022 update on the fund's progress during the week.
NSL's owned properties occupied by state tenants include the Revenue House, Vuli Pindi House, Edatano House, OP Center and NSL House in Ley. Number One Super's CEO Paul Sayer said in 2022, a challenge for the fund is on late payments of state rental arrears and unfunded state shares and vested benefits.
Over 2022, NSL and the state reached an agreement whereby the state would settle the balance of rental arrears in monthly instalments of $10 million. The monthly instalments include $5 million for clearing the outstanding balance of $70 million previously accrued and $5 million to pay its current monthly rental invoices as they come due. Although we are pleased with this result, it is important to note that the large sum received was actually used to pay several years of arrears, which NSL had to make provision for to accommodate.
Mr. Sayer said in 2022, the state made a payment of 102 million kina towards their outstanding rental arrears and a further 167 million kina to fund the state share benefits of members. However, Mr. Sayer said there are still funds outstanding that needs to be retrieved.
The state made a payment in January for the January rentals. They paid us $10 million. $5 million to clear some arrears and $5 million for the month of January. Since then, we haven't received our February, March or April rental payments of the agreement of $10 million a month. So at the moment, they're $30 million behind in rental payments for this year. Part of that would have cleared some of the arrears that they had agreed to clear over 14 months.
CEO Sayer said NSL aimed to continue working with the state to ensure that these outstanding funds are paid for its members' benefits, and the payment of these rental arrears by the government will mark a major milestone in the investment partnerships between NSL and the state, as it will aid in the continued maintenance of these properties to enhance tenant experience and provide a consistent revenue stream which the fund can use to reinvest and grow for its members. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. As the country's population continues to increase, there is dire need for more health workers to service the health needs of Papua New Guineans. This was revealed during the survey and accreditation workshop for health workers in the nation's capital last week.
During the week-long workshop hosted by NCD Provincial Health Authority, it was heard that health workers must perform their duties according to the standardized procedures set forth by the National Department of Health. The standardized procedures include the number of health workers in a hospital or clinic, the types of facilities and equipment used, behavior and conduct of a health worker towards the patients, and medical supplies used. Pascal Kase, former health secretary, spoke on the importance of health facilities in the country.
When standards are not complied with and our trainees are trained in a hospital, you see what you are working with that does not meet standard during your training. And then when you graduate and you go out to work proper and you are working in a provincial hospital or health center, you are used to seeing that level of facility and you accept it as the norm. But that should not be the case.
More so, most clinics and even hospitals lack manpower as the demand for health service is increasing almost yearly. Dr. Scotty Kendalio, Deputy Chief Emergency Physician at the National Department of Health, elaborates on this.
The latest statistics, we have about 800 doctors. How many nurses? 5,000 nurses. So
it's nationwide.
Nationwide, those that are servicing the population in the country. So we're really shortage of manpower, and we are not meeting to the population growth and the demands. The standard is very important. We do recommendations both at the local hospitals and also to the national level to cater for, at the policy level, to cater for these kind of needs that we are facing. And
meantime, Director for Curative Health Services attached with the Department of Health, Dr. Michael Dokup, gave emphasis on the behavior of health workers when attending to patients. When asked if a health worker is ignorant to a patient's health needs, this was his response.
This is unacceptable. This is just totally unacceptable. Unacceptable in that we will have established disciplinary process that goes to get to a place where the management will take action on those ones.
The main purpose and aim of this workshop is for the health workers to deliver standard, quality and safety required of them when servicing the health needs of ordinary Papua New Guineans. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
The new National Courthouse in Waigani, Port Moresby, will be fully completed and ready for use soon. This was revealed by the Secretary for Judicial Services, Jack Carrico, during the announcement of the 30-tier court system on Wednesday.
During a media conference flanked by Justice Minister and Attorney General Pila Niningi and his team of lawyers, including the Acting Secretary of Justice, Jack Carrico revealed that construction on the new Luke Waigani Courthouse complex is nearing completion.
99% complete, so we've got the registry administration building that's complete now, and we're just working on the courtrooms and the judges' chambers, which is the bigger building that you can see from here.
With the approval of the 3-tier court system, judges and lawyers will be able to do their work more efficiently in the new courthouse complex. Justice Minister and Attorney General Pila Niningi also shared the same sentiments, adding that with the approved increase of the number of judges from 40 to 60, more judges will be appointed.
Chief Justice is empowered or asked to look into recruiting more judges. Shortly, when 1 or 2 judges, then we will, the Legal Services Commission will consider appointing no judges.
When asked about the exact cost of the new courthouse complex, this was Mr. Carrico's response.
Construction estimated cost was around 600 million kina. And as the Attorney General mentioned briefly previously, we are very thankful for the Marape Rosso government for fully funding the construction costs of the Waigani National Court Complex.
Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission, ICCC, are currently undertaking a review into the coastal shipping industry this year. Commissioner of ICCC, Paulus Ain, mentioned that that review is expected to be completed with the release of a final report by end of October 2023.
The ICCC Commissioner and CEO, Paulus Ain, said that the objective of this review was to understand the prevailing market conditions or operations of the coastal shipping industry and take appropriate measures when necessary to ensure there is economic efficiency and reasonable quality of services provided by the industry. ICCC released a discussion paper on the review for public consultation on 25th of April 2022. Among other things, the paper highlights key issues and challenges that are affecting the industry. Issues include policy framework, competition, safety, regulation, market structure, and cost. A handful of the stakeholders have provided their submissions on the discussion paper, which are now being reviewed by the ICCC. Hines said ICCC will also be conducting a wider stakeholder consultation in the maritime centers across the country in June 2023 as part of this review process before releasing a draft report. The review is expected to be completed with the release of a final report by the end of October 2023. Mr. Hine highlighted that inputs from the stakeholders will greatly assist the ICCC in making an informed decision regarding this review. Therefore, stakeholders' comments and views will be sought during the review process. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
A total of 6 members of the New Ireland Provincial Education Board were officially sworn in yesterday in Caviang. According to a media statement from the New Ireland Provincial Government, these new members comprise very experienced individuals well versed in education space in the New Ireland province.
The newly sworn-in members are Chair Lady Dr. Kappa Caleb Malpo, Apelis Benson as Deputy Chairman, and Nigel Yawes, Joanne Beno, Kelly Severinus, and Mektil Tukas as members to the board. The other 2 members of the board include Chris Orim and Pastor Alain Lacour, who will be sworn in at a later date. According to a statement released by the New Ireland Provincial Government, its Executive Council appointments are on terms and conditions as determined by the Provincial Executive Council. Chair Lady of the board, Dr. Caleb Malpo, stated in the media release that with the Education Board now in place, they can now proceed with their mandated duties and responsibilities. She added that this board is important as it will govern matters concerning education in the province and will strategize and lead in the development of the New Ireland University. Deputy Chairman of the New Ireland Education Board clarified that the board will be a pillar to driving the province's autonomous agenda in establishing its own university and equipping human resource in New Ireland. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
The Teaching Service Commission with Papua New Guinea Teachers Association held the first negotiation on addressing teachers' pay increments, allowances and other issues concerning the well-being of the teachers in the country. The meeting was held earlier this week in Port Moresby at the Vulupindi House.
Executives from the PNGTA brought a working document to present it to TSC for comments that captures teachers' housing allowance, teachers' salary fixation, teachers' training, and other important issues. This document will later be presented to the Department of Personnel Management for action. PNGTA National Vice President Mr. Shanal Koh highlighted that the document is a working document that is open for suggestions and adjustment. Koh emphasized that in this negotiation, whatever agreement made in 2016 to 2017 can be overlooked as they do not want to increase any percentage. However, calculations have been made from 2020 to 2025 based on the figures obtained from 2016 and 2017 captured in the document that the base salary and the teaching service allowances are the same. Due to PNG experiencing a downturn of the economy, nothing much is expected, but they call for collaborations, and once the economy picks up, negotiations can be made. TSC Chairman Mr. Samson Wangi Omi received the document and said the TSC will have a look at the issues raised. After commenting on the document, TSC and PNGTA will continue discussions and negotiations until an agreement is reached. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National MTV News. Origin Energy PNG has partnered with Sika Fire Company to conduct fire drill awareness to schools in Port Moresby. During these fire awareness drills, students are taught the different classifications of fire from the least dangerous top to the most dangerous and how to react when fire starts at home or in their classrooms.
The Shalom Baptist Christian Academy School, located at Sabama, was the first in NCD to undergo this fire drill awareness. Don Mickey from Sika Fire Protection Limited explained to the students that fire is classified into 6 different types. Class A fire is the least dangerous and refers to burning of clothes, paper, and other material that can be easily put out. Class B types of fire refers to flammable fire, including kerosene and petrol. The students were told that Class C, D, and E refers to gas, metal fire, and electric fire respectively, while Class F fire refers to fire which starts in the kitchen, caused by oil or fatty liquids. Amongst this, the students were also taught how to use the different types of fire extinguishers. The main purpose stressed was to switch off all main switches in the house, or in this case, classrooms, when the fire alarm goes off. Instructor Don from Sika Fire Protection Limited elaborates further.
And those kids at the age of 5 to 7, up to 10, 11, up to 17 should know the importance of fire safety at home. It is like, got to be prepared. And fire is something that is unpredictable and life-threatening. So everyone at home or at work, regardless of where you work, you have to know the importance of fire safety.
This is a joint initiative by Sika Fire and Origin Energy. Marisa Owasora, the coordinator at Origin Energy, talks about the objective behind this fire drill awareness exercise.
Part of our goals for the year is to create partnership with the communities and as well as our customers. So being partners with Sika Fire, they do our fire maintenance, and we ask them, like, hey, we want to do this, we want to go and do awareness with schools. So they've jumped on board, and this is actually the first community initiative that we've come out to the schools.
Schools that are interested in this fire drill exercise for their students can contact Sika Fire and Origin Energy's Facebook page. The next school the team will be visiting is Malolo International School at 8 Mile in Port Moresby. Lindy Suharupa, National MTV News.
Moving to overseas news now, women are significantly underrepresented in parliamentary politics in the Pacific Islands, and before last year's election of Gloria Julia King into parliament, there hadn't been a female MP elected in Vanuatu for 15 years.
Getting into Parliament was an uphill battle for Gloria Julia King.
If people tell me that I can do it, it lights a fire beneath me that makes me want to prove them wrong.
Before she was elected last year, Vanuatu hadn't had a female MP for 15 years.
The leadership has always been the men.
Her story isn't unique. Across the Pacific, women struggle to make it in the world of politics.
We've never had over 30% representation in parliaments all across the region.
Experts say a range of factors are to blame.
The culture, the economy, the history of the region and the culture of elections make it so difficult for them to participate.
In Papua New Guinea, research shows women lack the financial and social resources needed to wage effective campaigns.
Thank you very much, Honourable Randro.
It's a similar case in Fiji.
Being able to afford the campaign trips. Who's going to look after the family while you're gone?
And even when women do take the driver's seat, politics is not an easy ride.
Even being there, I can almost feel that this is not my place.
It's clear change is needed, but the question is how.
The issue with quotas is that it's often seen as a Western influence or an outsider coming in and trying to do politics in the region.
In Samoa, a quota of 10% female representation in Parliament has been effective. 2 years ago, it became the second Pacific nation to elect a female head of government. But experts say the issue goes beyond politics.
There needs to be more mainstreaming about women as leaders, not just politically, right? So, women in aviation, women in mining, different sectors, women as leaders generally.
For Gloria Julia King, setting an example is where it all begins.
If women are going to make it here, then maybe I'm going to be the trailblazer.
UK government has announced that it is ending its evacuation operation from Sudan because of the decline in number of British nationals seeking assistance.
This is what counts for a ceasefire in the capital Khartoum. It's less than 2 weeks since the war erupted. So much damage already done. And the scale of human suffering caused by this conflict is growing by the day. This is what it looks like inside the planes that are flying out British nationals and their immediate family members. It was filmed by a British woman who had to leave her young nieces and nephews behind because they didn't have UK passports or visas. We've been told that officials on the ground back in Sudan can exercise some discretion on who they let on the planes. So who arrives here in Cyprus has been something of a lottery. Among those bussed into Larnaca airport after an overnight flight was Abdurrahman and his 86-year-old mother. He worked for 30 years as a gynecologist in the NHS, delaying his retirement because of COVID. He's a British national. His 86-year-old mother is not. They had to persuade British officials to let her come. Other NHS doctors with work permits were originally turned away. Abdulrahman was injured last week, shot at in his car by RSF fighters. He had to treat these wounds himself at home, with pillowcases as bandages.
Ukrainian president has paid tributes to a mother and daughter killed in a Russian airstrike.
For 50 days or so, Kyiv had been relatively quiet compared to other parts of the country. Last night, Kyiv took some serious attacks. There were 11 missiles shot into Kyiv last night and 2 unmanned aerial vehicles, in other words, drones. I was woken at 4 a.m. today to the sound, quite that eerie sound of the siren. That's been happening lately. I dozed off to sleep the other night about 11 o'clock and suddenly was woken to that sound, which can really scare you, and you don't know whether to go for the bomb shelter or not. Kyiv was not as badly hit as Uman, where there was a dreadful tragedy caused by those Russian missiles.
How do you see the aftermath of these attacks playing out over the next few weeks?
Well, I think it really steals the determination of the Ukrainians. The Ukrainian army clearly is preparing for a massive counter-offensive. Certainly the mood here, talking to people as I have over the last 2 weeks or so, the Ukrainian army is very pumped up. They believe they have the military advantage now over Russia, and they are preparing a major hit on some of those Russian strongholds. And I think that what happened last night here, the dreadful night of sirens and missiles, attempted missiles into Kyiv, most of them were shot down, was a precursor to what the Russians know will be a Ukrainian counteroffensive. You can see behind me now, this is normally a thriving city of Kyiv. The streets are empty. The curfew has just come in. You can see police cars or ambulances driving around. It's a really eerie feeling here to be in a European capital and to know at any point that siren could go off and a missile could arrive.
National EMTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Last night, the APEC House witnessed the auction sales of Trukai Fun Run 2023. 10 bidders bid off 14,300 T-shirts from the 50,000 pledged Fun Run T-shirts.
In attendance was PNG Olympic Committee President Sir John Dawanikura, Sports and Dehurst Minister Don Polier, Trukai Industries Limited Sales and Marketing Manager Marian Tom, and PNG sporting icons in the likes of David Mead, Dika Toa, and Ryan Pini. Of the 50,000 pledged Fun Run T-shirts from Trukai Industries Limited, 14,300 T-shirts converted to 286,000 kina were sold last night during the first auction sales.
Who'll give me 5? Okay. Have a further advance on 400. I've got 500.
Top 10 bidders saw corporate and public sector organizations bidding for schools through T-shirts.
Come on, burn them off. Who's going to give me 300? 300, looking for 3.
During her address, the sales and marketing manager for Trukai Industries Limited, Marian Tom, mentioned that the funds raised from the auction sales will go towards assisting Team PNG to the November Pacific Games and the Trinidad and Tobago August Commonwealth Games.
Through that sponsorship, we've been able to send Team PNG to so many international events, Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games, Pacific Games, Mini Pacific Games, and I think those in itself are the accomplishments and the achievements of the Trukai Fun Run.
This was seconded by PNG Olympic Committee President Sir John Dawaninkura.
This year's event, at the end of the year, from November to December, is the Pacific Games in Solomon Islands. And opportunities like this give us the honor to host for the benefit of our athletes who will do their best to represent the country as well as their families and themselves for their pursuit in excellence.
Meanwhile, with the first auction sales last night in Port Moresby, Trukai Industries Limited, together with the PNG Olympic Committee, is calling out to corporate houses and public sector entities in Lae to come on board and support this second auction sales, which will take place in Lae, Morobe Province in few days' time, where the remaining 35,700 Fun Run T-shirts will be auctioned. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Port Moresby Rugby League played its round 5 matches today for both the men and women division.
Port Moresby Rugby League today saw 2 dominant teams play this afternoon on PRL Field 2. Butterflies took on the Tarangau side as the 2 teams competed well in the first half of the match. The Butterflies had the advantage, having both 2 international PNG Orchids reps in the likes of Joen Kuman and Joen Laguna.
2023, me captain in Butterflies. Game lo me play now I'm alright. 2 games me play finish. 3 game lo Port Moresby Rugby League game kick off finish, but me play been play 2 games. Last 2 game lo me play against Team Connie Storms. Me play been game 14-0 4-0. And then this last week, today current game lo me play against Team Tarangau. Winning me play lo 6 points. Me play put a 3 try or put a 4 try. Kick tasol and miss out na only winning game but then me have lo lugi mo sem plan need lo. All Mary so me play have lo move on lo. Kameli lo training. Focus me play mas me focus to training tasol. Training good, me play come na play.
The Butterflies walked away disappointed at the final hooter at full time, but are hoping to change the course of the game come next weekend. Godwin Eki, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. In the men's division, the Connie Storms defeated Paga Panthers in the final match of today's match of the games as Storms walked away winners at full time.
The final game of the day on Field 2 of the Port Moresby Rugby League was between Paga Panthers and the Connie Storms in an interesting contest as both teams struggled to score in the first 10 minutes into the first half. Towards the back end of the first half, Connie Storms scored the first try to lead the game with 4 points. As conversion went unsuccessful, Paga Panthers, on the other hand, tried to score in the remaining minutes of the first half, but were unsuccessful. Half-time score 10-0 in favour of the Connie Storms. In the second half, Connie Storms still maintained their winning streak, coming back successful in the second half with a try to kickstart the second half. This brought the scores to Storms 14, Paga Panthers 2. Storms, who were dominant from the first whistle, came through successful towards the end of the game before the final hooter went off. Final score, Connie Storms 22, Paga Panthers 2 at full time. Godwin Eki, Trukai Sports.
Moving to overseas sports now, and the NRL South Sydney Rabbitohs have posted a 4th straight win, thrashing ladder leaders, the Brisbane Broncos.
6 at Lang Park, with the scores locked at 6 or close to half-time. The Bunnies unleashed after the break. Campbell Graham put himself in contention to make his Origin debut with a hat-trick of tries and a try assist. Latrell Mitchell scored a double as the Rabbitohs moved to 3rd on the table.
Big boys started well for Brisbane, so we knew we were going to have to ride that a little bit. Cam going in the bin probably switched us on a little bit. I thought we've got a bit more resolve about us, and I thought the second half was pretty clinical, especially from a defensive perspective.
In Parramatta, the Eels thrashed Newcastle 43 points to 12. Skipper Clint Gutherson racked up his first career hat-trick as the Eels moved up to 10th on the ladder. Star halves Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses each scored a try as Parramatta moved to 10th on the ladder.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby City, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorms. Daru, partly cloudy with brief showers. Kerama, cloudy with rain showers and thunderstorms. Alatau, cloudy periods with some showers and possible thunderstorms. And Popondetta, cloudy with some rain showers and thunderstorms.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Saturday, the 29th of April, 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.